Hello, everyone, and thank you for tuning in to Help for HDTV. Today, we have Davan back on with us, and we are going to talk about disability. Chances are, if we are in the Huntington's community, we know a lot about disability, and we've had to watch our families in the past go through this whole process of disability. But there's actually more options than just what most people know about. So Davan is going to come on and talk to us about short-term disability, long-term disability, and a couple other things. So thank you for coming back on with us, Davan, and let's jump in and talk about disability.
Yeah, sure. It's great to be back on talking about these important topics. Again, we do have a lot of this information on our website at davanenterprises.com between an actual dedicated page called HD Resource page and then our blogs as well, which we're creating more content about once a month at least for these. So short-term and long-term disability, I work with a lot of this on the employer group workspace, but really and you can have your own private short-term disability set up as well through a couple different companies. Some are better rated than others, depending on your occupation. Is what it really depends on. And then, of course, going from there, how to go to Social Security disability. So short-term, long-term, I guess, textbook definition of short-term is typically if you're going to be out of work for less than a year. Long-term disability lasts more than a year. And just to let you know, yeah, you'll typically need to be out of work for about a year in order to qualify for Social Security disability. But so a short-term disability, if you get through a group, if you can get it through your employer, that's the best, easiest way to get because of underwriting. Typically, it's going to be a guaranteed issue. There's no questions going to be asked. If there's pre-existing conditions, it'll be somewhat limited depending on the underwriting, depending on the company that's doing the policy. So you'll have limited pre-existing conditions that will apply. Also, you can decide on the elimination period. The elimination period is how long you wait before you get paid, basically. And so the longer you wait before you get paid, the cheaper the policy will be. Also, it's going to be paid a percentage of the income that you make. Now, the government's you cannot get 100% of your income. The government kind of regulates that. And so basically it's saying 66 and 2/3% up to 70% of your income will be the maximum allowed amount. If someone got 100% of their income, they would never go back to work, and they're trying to get you by, at least keep the bills paid, the roof over your head, the cars in the driveway, and food on the table. But they don't want you to be able to stay home all the time and want to give you an incentive to go back to work, so they're not going to give you the full benefit. Some policies will also what we call offset with other sources of income. So if you have some other savings built up or maybe PTO, sick time built up, and you're receiving income from there, some companies will actually reduce the amount of money that they pay you on the policy by that other amount to ensure that you don't receive any more than that regulated amount that you're supposed to. Then there are some companies that pay regardless of other sources of income. So you get that full amount, and then you can also double dip into your other resources as well, which is nice. There's not a lot of those companies that are out there. It just depends. If you're buying it privately, great. If you're buying it through your employer, then of course you're locked into whatever that certificate policy is negotiated with for your employer. And then let's see what else. I guess I could just throw out some couple of numbers, a policy here. So these are fictitious, but just let you know how it works. So let's say you're buying it through an employer. Let's say the employer has a 3-month or 13-week benefit period. So it will pay you for up to 3 months. And let's say that they allow you to get up to $1,000 a month benefit, and there is a 0-7 elimination. What that means is first day, the first number is for injury or accident, and then the second number is for sickness. So it'll pay first day for injury, 7-day wait to get paid for a sickness, including maternity coverage could be on there as well. And there's a 3/12 pre-existing condition. So that means that the policy is going to look back 3 months from the effective date of the plan. And so anything that you've insured or diagnosed for in those 3 months will not cover you for the first 12 months of the plan. Okay. So we got a 3/12 pre-existing condition, pays first day for an injury, 7-day wait for a sickness, $1,000 a month for up to 3 months. And that will determine the premium. So those 5 factors for a short-term disability. So then some companies will offer you a long-term disability. So long-term disability picks up after you've been out of work for 90 days. So that 3 months, and then we'll pay for 1 year, 2 years, 5 years, whatever, or until you're eligible for Social Security disability. So it just depends on how that long-term plan is designed. Now let's talk about this is like within the employer workspace. Let's talk about private. So depending on your occupation, because when you're in the employer workspace and you're buying it through your employer, through your group, they've already rated everything for your job. But if you're going outside on your own private plan, there are a couple of companies. One that I highly recommend. There's two that I highly recommend, depending on the occupation. If you're a blue collar worker, I highly recommend Illinois Mutual Life Insurance Company. So everyone from the truck driver to the everyday laborer, whatever. If you are in a white collar field, so doctors, attorneys, things like that, I recommend Ohio National. So those are my two go-to companies typically. One, because their underwriting is very good within those spheres, and also just really good A-rated companies. The rates are also very good as well. On a private side, you can choose to probably do that benefit period of 1 year. And so short-term disability is, again, it's trying to do things that are under a year. The underwriting is going to look really similar to a life insurance policy underwriting. So just be aware of that as well. It's going to look for things and factors that may exclude you for that coverage. Again, the younger you are, the healthier you are, the better it's going to be. And really, when you're looking at disability plans, disability income, you want to look at what we call a mug. So, mug is how much does it cost to pay your mortgage? How much does it cost to pay your utilities and groceries or gas for the month? So, your bare minimum essential items, again, just to keep the roof over your head, food on the table, lights turned on, and of course, gas or cars in the driveway, be able to allow you to be able to do things that you need to do, whether it's going to doctor's appointments or whatever. What is your minimum income need? And then that's what we're trying to ensure, so that if something were to happen, you still get those basic needs met, and you'll be okay. As Dave Ramsey said, if we can take care of the four walls around our house, we're in a much better mental state to be able to take care of other things, right? But when you're being threatened with losing your house, losing your cars, can't eat, then that's survival instinct kicks in, right? So you look at those policies, short-term disability on a private side, we're happy to do that as well, and just look at quotes for there. You're not going to find long-term disability, so to speak, on a private side as like you would on the group side. Again, they'll go up to 1 year. We essentially believe that within 30, or I'm sorry, not 30, but 90 days, 3 months or 90 days, you'll know whether or not this may be a permanent disability. And so then you'll probably start the process for Social Security disability. Now, when someone's going to Social Security disability, I will say, especially for what we do here with HD and even for our own experience, we started the process on our own, went through Social Security disability, went to ssa.gov, started the process, and I think we got denied the first time. And after that denial, we actually reached out to the HDSA and Allison Bartlett over there. And I can't tell you how amazing that was to work with her. She sent us a line by line cheat sheet basically of how to fill in all the questions and all the fields, screenshots and everything. And we put it all in. And then, of course, after a while, our wife was approved for Social Security disability, and the process couldn't have been easier. It was hard at first to be denied, and looking at the term codes and that Huntington's disease should be an automatic approval. But again, it's just the process that we were trying to wade through. But they really helped us, and it was at no cost. I've seen other people try to go out to attorneys and have to, even my own sister-in-law, for other reasons, not for Huntington's disease, but have to go through this process even with an attorney and still get denied on the third round. And just so I can't speak enough about Allison Bartlett and the work over there with the HDSA to help us with that. So as someone is looking at going through Social Security disability, especially with HD, definitely use those resources that's available. Now, of course, we're talking about prevention measures with having short-term disability in place. We didn't have any of that in place for her either. So that whole year, we were on a single income. And I'll tell you, even though the plan was to retire my wife at some point, it was not at that time yet. I still remember the call. I was in a hotel room and she said that she just couldn't do it anymore. So for the next year, I couldn't believe it, but God took care of us. We were well taken care of over the year. I didn't believe that we were going to be able to be okay on my single income. Her money was actually the main income. Mine was just still building my business. But we were great. And then we got approved for Social Security, and it's been a lot better since, of course. But had we had short-term disability in place, it would have been it would have been so much easier. It would not have been as much of a struggle. I thought I was done with my struggle and survival years, but apparently we went back into that mindset. So I've got practice in that quite a bit now. So it's happened 3 times so far.
I do wonder if the transition is much easier going from like short-term disability to long-term disability to like Social Security disability, and if people have had a much easier transition with being approved. That would be interesting to know. I would assume so, just because there's so much paperwork to kind of back the disability. But anyhow,
it's mainly like the same documents, especially if the short-term and long-term disability company is the same company, then everything just flows really easy. I can attest to that. To that part, even though we didn't have that personal experience, just from what I've heard from clients, I can attest that it's been a really easy transition for that, because it's the same documentation that they need. Now, going from that to Social Security disability is a little bit different, because now you're dealing with the bureaucracy of the government and all the little tidbits of lines and knowing what to put in the right questions, and also the additional documentation that they need. I will say,
fortunately,
everything that we do, stay on top of it, keep a folder, keep track of all files of everything that we sent them. Always made a copy, so I kept my own copy too.
Yeah,
smart.
Yeah, and I have this one, and I don't even know what it is, Devin. Maybe you will know. I have one policy, and when my husband died, it was a disability policy. He had multiple disability policies through the sheriff's department, and they continue to pay 52 weeks after death.
Oh, wow.
I'm still getting paid on it, on the policy, and it's through his long-term care. It was, I think, in his his long-term disability, not care, his long-term disability that he had through the sheriff's department. Maybe it must have had a little life insurance like rider on it. Maybe that's what it was.
It's possible. I want to say I have heard of something like that before, but it's so rare.
And it's non-taxed. So I went to my
Yes,
and they don't tax any of this money. And I'm like, how does this? I don't quite know. So that's actually a really good question before we get off here. The taxes, we have to pay taxes on our Social Security disability. Why on some of these long-term disability plans and long-term care plans and things like that, we don't have to pay taxes on them? They were tax-free.
Yeah, so it really depends on, especially if you do it even if you do it in the private space. If you do it in the private space, then it's already post-tax. You're paying that money with income you've already been taxed on.
Sure.
When I do it in a work site space, you can do it pre-tax. So the person saves on their income taxes, just like they do on health insurance and some other things that are pre-tax eligible. However, when you receive that benefit, you got to pay tax on that benefit. But as a rule of thumb, I think for most professional agents, life insurance and disability insurance, we will always, if we're working with the employer group, we will always have that as post-tax basis. You're already getting less than your normal income when you receive those benefits, right?
Yeah.
If you're going to pay taxes on those benefits, now you're receiving even more reduction on that income.
Sure.
There is an employer group, and actually I see this with teachers, with school systems. Some states will have their own, after an employee's been with them for so long, they'll have an employer paid disability plan for them. And in those cases, the employee will receive those benefits, but then because it's employer paid, they'll have to pay taxes on that. So instead of receiving 60% of their income, they'll receive 40% of their income. So that's that's worse than less than half.
Sure. Yeah, absolutely.
So yeah, to answer your question, it really just depends on where's the money coming from. If it's coming from pre-tax or post-tax dollars.
Yeah.
So if it's pre-tax dollars, then they're going to pay taxes on the benefit. If it's post-tax, then they won't have to.
Thankfully, it's not double taxed then.
Yeah.
It could be if the person puts that money in savings and they pass away, and then we go into estate taxes.
Yeah.
I've been dealing with some of that estate type stuff too.
Yes, the fun estate taxes and probate and all that. Yes. So
interesting history of estate taxes too, by the way.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, everyone needs to get their piece, right? And it's, oh man, some people in the HD world, we're just trying to survive. We're just trying to
Yeah, you're like, how are
live
you
like
gonna
you're saying,
tax? I
do
don't,
the mug.
I can't even afford my home health care, and you're still gonna tax me on nothing?
I know. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yes.
it's
So true.
terrible.
Yeah.
But yeah, they're all important pieces. Some short-term disability, like I said, on life insurance, short-term, long-term disability is based on age too and whatnot. So again, the younger you are, the cheaper it can be to reach out to some of those companies. If someone doesn't have it through work, definitely have it on the private side, because I'll say, and so I bring in Dave Ramsey to my topic sometimes just because I don't agree 100% with him. 90% I do. Um, but of all the things that we're going to ensure, our paycheck, our number one asset is our ability to earn money, is our ability to earn an income. And so a disability, short-term disability, is basically paycheck insurance for us. Just make sure that if we cannot work, we lost our ability to work, there's still something providing some income sources to us, provide for our home or our housing or our family.
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. So thank you so much. I think we covered a lot. I think the long term, short term, and then Gavin said for that Social Security, that whole thing we all have to go through, that HDSA has a great resource through Allison and tools to help you through that kind of very stressful time in the process when your loved one can no longer work. I think that's it. Is there anything that we missed here?
I think we're good. I think we covered quite a bit.
Yeah.
Yeah, and there's, for anyone that has additional questions, I know it's so much to cover in just a short amount of time. So sometimes it's hard to stay completely focused on some main points and topics. But again, you can find me on the web, send me a quick message. I'll be happy to answer what I can. So
Yeah, and Davin, I think you made a good point there because everyone's individual. You just get our heads spinning. Okay, what do I need individually? I love that you have the resource on the website, you have the HD specific page, and you are open for people to be able to contact you because every story is going to be different as far as your price you're going to pay, what you're going to need, and all of that. Thank you for definitely having those resources up for us. They're one of a kind. And I was actually just talking to someone about you last week, and you had come on and done something for their HD group. And they're like, oh yeah, Davin. And I'm like, he's done it 4 times now for us. So we are thankful because it's really hard to find these resources. And
absolutely. It's something, as we were going through with my wife, and it's starting to see more and more questions and whatnot pop up on social media and inside different groups. And there's a need, and I like to try and help when and where I can.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, you guys go check out Davin's website, and you can go on there and you go to the HD page. I think it's on the left because I went and I searched it. Yep, you can go to Davan Enterprise. Is it davanenterprise.com?
DavanEnterprises.com.
Yeah, davanenterprises.com. And you could see it behind him in his background. And just click on the HD resource page, and there's a lot of really great information, and check out the blog. I think that will do it for today. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe to the channel below and ring the bell for notifications when more videos like this come out. Till next time.